On June 9th, 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed the Electoral Act and that allows states, individuals, companies to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. But where are we? How far have we gone? This is 2025. I will be answering those questions. Oladele will be doing so. Oladele from TetraCore Energy. And this is the Energy Time Podcast. I'm David Ijasho. Okay, Oladele, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So we'll just start from the basics. What is TetraCore? What does TetraCore do?
Okay, thank you once again for having me. TetraCore Energy Group is an African energy solutions provider. We are an energy infrastructure company, and ultimately we are into the business of delivering effective energy solutions to customers everywhere in Nigeria and beyond. Thank you.
That's perfect. And I also read that TetraCore plays operationally or the value chain for the energy and oil and gas industry.
Yes, TetraCore plays across the value chain. Specifically, we have core competence as I speak now around the midstream and downstream of natural gas. We didn't just get this natural gas out, we threw them in the natural form that they are. We also take a good step to ensure that there's some level of decent industrialization that Nigeria is able to achieve. Because there's really less significance of having gas or abundant resource when you are not able to effectively utilize it. It is in the development and generation of more jobs, right? Manufacturing, they use the natural gas for production, for generation of electricity. That is where true development can come to Nigeria. So TetraCore is really at the forefront of ensuring this happens as quickly as possible, and that's why we've been able to spread ourselves too thin. It can be overwhelming, but we take pleasure in having today, and that's why we have good understanding of the market to ensure that we can play in all of these key strategic areas across the value chain.
Then I also understand that TetraCore has Minitel Limited.
Yes, that's fantastically correct. So Minitel Limited is the logistics arm of TetraCore. It's a sister company, a subsidiary that takes care of all the logistical arrangement that TetraCore requires to be able to deliver gas. So earlier in our presentation, you will notice that I had mentioned that we are also a big player in the virtual pipeline space. And what virtual pipeline does, in summary, is that there are areas in Nigeria today that are stranded, that don't have enough energy infrastructure like pipelines there. So for you to be able to get access to those places, you need to truck out the gas molecules there, right? And to be able to do that, we need a different level of assets, infrastructure trucks and cascades or skids, like it's popularly called. So it can be overwhelming to have the same company that is, tasked with the responsibility of having to work with customers to deploy effective energy solutions. So because of that, we then set up a subsidiary that is primarily in charge of handling all logistical arrangements. Yeah. So currently today, Minitel handles 100% of the entire energy logistics for TetraCore.
That's beautiful. So what can you say about this event? Where are we currently? What do we need to do? What are the infrastructural challenges? And what can we optimize? What are the solutions for states to be able to deliver on this assignment, on this task?
Okay, so thank you. That's a short question that has deeper roots and several aspects through which we can look at it from. Right. However, I think primarily, if we keep talking about the problems with that, we may not live here today. So I think one thing that is instructive is the fact that the government is trying its best to decentralize power. It's a fantastic and welcome development. That's true. Right. Another thing is that if for this to happen, it means states are able to then now create their own energy market or electricity market, as it's really that. Right. The question is how many states can have an effective market. The market, by simple definition, I don't know about textbook definition, but primarily should be a place where you can have a buyer, a willing seller that are willing to agree on a particular price. But the cost of power today still remains incredibly high for an average Nigerian to pay. And the popular conversation out there is that if you give you 100% or 247 electricity, how many Nigerians can afford? And you keep seeing cases of theft and even established areas, eyebrow areas where you'd expect that people in this neighborhood earn enough to be able to pay, but yet people still bypass, and then it has to tell you. So there's attitudinal problems to that. People still have this notion that it should be free, government should subsidize. Again, like I said, don't let me delve too much into the many problems. However, how are we able to ensure that we can have an effective market where IPPs or power generators like TetraCore, right, can effectively generate electricity at a cost-effective price that consumers can then now pay, right? What role will subsidy do to ensure that do we will leak subsidy at this point, or do you want to have a cost-reflective market? So the first challenge that will be there is we really need to ensure that we are able to define an approach that works, right? If I'm not wrong, I'm sure LNB is one of the foremost states that have adopted the electricity market, but even that, there's still a bit of challenge in deploying it. And now they are scaling back to say, you know what, I'm going to cut down the price to a certain amount because it still boils down to affordability. Yeah. So, it's not just enough to have efficient electricity, you must also have it at a cost-effective approach. So the market is where I believe we should focus on to ensure how we are able to generate electricity at a cost-effective, and that scales back into the input to generate that electricity. And now you are talking about gas, which TetraCore is also a player in that field, right? And then it goes back to upstream feedstock that you get to be able to. So, it goes, and we can just take all of this, value chain across, and then see how we can unbundle, and then try and see where we can tweak to be able to ensure that the final price to the final consumer is something that is affordable. So market is very, very important. Whatever we do, we must ensure that we have a market for it.
That's perfect. Thank you very much, Oladele, for pointing out the fact that we should not just focus on the problems. Yes, so rather focus on the market. So what should we be expecting from this last question now? What should we be expecting from TetraCore in the next 5 to 10 years?
In the next 5 to 10 years, okay, 10 years might be a bit far, but in the next 5 years, expect a whole lot from TetraCore. Currently, as it stands today, like I mentioned earlier, TetraCore stands as the second largest gas trading company in Nigeria, every second to NNPC, right? Yes, I make bold to say that our virtual pipeline infrastructure is also second to none. Right, we are doing a whole lot of that in that space to ensure that we capture strategic areas where you are able to debottleneck gas access to people. Right, we currently supply some industries, somewhere in Benin, Edo State, Nigeria today. That over 15 customers. It's an industrial park, and we are replicating this across. We also have a strategic play in Ghana. We are constructing the very first CNG meta station in Ghana today, across. So a whole lot is happening. In the next 5 years, you may expect to see the biggest energy company to evolve out of Africa with the most diversified portfolio, where we are not just doing just natural gas. You cannot purchase to say it's only CNG that they are doing, or it's only LNG, or it's only fertilizer. No, so diversified. So I think that's what you should look at.
Of course.
NPC, of course, because we are already playing in that space.
And then we will definitely keep the tabs on TetraCore. Because where something that is by Africans and for Africans.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Oladele, for your wonderful conversation.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, we'll be in touch and
live up.
Thank you. Seriously.